Hey everyone, today is October 19th, 2023. Same exact night we just did that like 5 minutes ago. Built that box around the bottom of the oil tank because the snowblower being here, someone steps on it by accident. You can easily break that line off the bottom of the tank and this will all spill. Now it can even be used as a stool to reach up there. A important thing done in like 10 minutes. Prevent that from spilling all over the floor. I put that in a separate video because I want to title it different, because a video like that, I haven't seen any others on the internet, and I just checked and I feel like it should have its own video with that title, because that's something that could actually help someone other than the vlog video. I'm not going to just title it today's vlog because I feel like that's important information, since almost every house in the Northeast has one of these tanks if they're not part of a city, because they're not going to add pipelines going to every rural house. It just costs too much. So almost everyone's got a big tank like this. Heating oil is more common in the Northeast than propane, because propane takes up more space for its energy density. This can run a furnace and heat a house longer than the same size tank being propane. It's more energy dense, so that's why it's chosen more often than propane. But tonight, we're going to build something interesting. So I got these springs here from the truck. I kind of want to make a little bench out of them, because I go here and I put all my weight on it, go ahead and sit on it. It actually springs a good amount. I kind of want to make a springy bench with it. So I got this board here. I'm going to cut it in half for 4 feet. It'll be 4 feet the top of it, and the other piece will be on the floor. This right here, I want to make a little thing so it can't tip over. I also, on the top of it, where the spring's going to hit underneath the seat, I want to put just a little piece of this. I'll taper the edges with a 45 degree to make it a little more fancy. That's just so we can use really long screws so they can't come out. So for these, I bought a bunch of these connectors in the plumbing aisle at the Home Depot. We're going to remove these. I just want to use the arches because they're very thick. They had a bunch of other ones, but not nearly that thick. And simply like this, the bottom and top is each going to have 4 of them. These were pretty cheap, so I don't think it might be solid. I think it is actually copper, the way you see how it's kind of pitted. I think it is actually real copper. It's pitted like that because they probably molded it in sand. Well, if it is actually solid copper, not just plated, it was pretty cheap. So yeah, I was actually going to maybe use this on the bench, but I'm going to use green spray paint. Maybe it'll look nice. I'm going to get the pieces together that don't include the spring first, spray paint it. Maybe tomorrow we'll assemble it so it'll be nicer. I'm not going to spray paint this. I actually think it looks kind of cool being copper colored. So yeah, I wanted to do it all black, but they didn't have black spray paint, the professional type. I had other spray paint there, a bunch to use up, but I noticed the professional one on wood, it doesn't absorb it super fast. You go over it once, it does absorb it. We'll let it set up for an hour. The second coat will be beautiful and glossy. I noticed the professional one, I think it's thicker, something about it makes it last longer. So I kind of want to make a spring seat. So these came off the truck earlier in the year, because when I bought the truck, I immediately had it lifted, actually mainly for tire chains, which I recently found out the chains will still hit the struts, so I have to get a spacer if I want to put chains on it in the winter months. I'll just put the spacer in the winter months because it's extra strain on your bearings having the wheel out further. So when I had the vehicle lifted 2 inches, they had to replace the springs, shocks, and struts. This was removed from the vehicle before it even had 10 miles, so went ahead, I put this stuff on Craigslist along with a set of the tires it came with, because I immediately got a big slid in it from a sharp rock off-road. I got off-road tires. I had that set of tires professionally repaired by Town Fair Tire because the slit wasn't that big. And I went ahead and I put it on Craigslist for 2 months. One person was interested in the tires, but nothing else. And they said, well, I'm going to get a set of rims for them because it's worth it than buying a whole new set. The guy messaged me like a week later saying, I'm still looking, don't get rid of them. And he never responded again. Maybe he will. I don't think he will. But took everything down. No one else was interested in this other stuff, despite it basically being brand new. To buy the shocks, struts, and springs, it's about $1,500 for the stock stuff. Actually, I think a little more. With the tires, brand new, that's over $2,000. I was asking $500 or best offer for everything, or you could do it individually. No one did it. After 30 days, I dropped it down to a measly $150 for all that stuff. Then that guy came along just wanting the tires. Another month went by. No one wanted the rest of the stuff, so the other stuff I'll probably donate. And I kind of feel bad because those tires would have fit my grandfather's car. I didn't realize he needed them. He just got a new set, so I'll keep them for now. But before they get dry rotted, I will donate them at some point if I don't decide to use them, because tires have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years depending where you are and how they are stored until they start dry rotting and becoming dangerous. So that's the reason, if you don't drive a lot, if you drive like 10,000 miles a year, just get the low miles tires, because if you don't wear them out, you lose them. So we'll do this. I'm going to make it simple. This just has to be cut in half. This piece here, I'll measure it, taper the edges like on a picnic table, make it look a little fancy. I'm just going to maybe, I'll time-lapse all this stuff and explain it once we're done with it. All right, everyone, I'm going to voice over anything as I go through this that I remember while I'm building it. So this big piece, you see I had to turn it around so the blade could go through it. It's a very thick piece of wood. Now I'm cutting the feet, making it a little fancy with some 45-degree cuts. Now I'm making the braces underneath the bench with some 45-degree cuts. This is sped up 20 times. Now I'm just lining it up and screwing it together. You saw me bring it back over to the saw. It was like a little bit too big, so I just trimmed off a little piece, but that also looks decorative. Now I'm filing down all the pieces, making sure they're nice and smooth for a nice finish when I'm done. Still sanding it down, making it very smooth. Making it smoother. Filing down the feet, although they didn't really need it. Now I'm making some unnecessary pieces that we won't actually use, and I'll explain that once we're done. As soon as I put the first bracket, I realized I need a shim, so I just went back and cut a little shim for it, because the tops of the springs, which are now upside down, were not straight, because I think they might go in the vehicle a little crooked, something like that. We had to make them straight to get this to work properly. I was just doing this as a project today, but the result you're about to see came out way better than I could have imagined. Now, what you see me doing on that other piece of wood right there, I have to screw out one side of those brackets because it's just too small for the screw I'm using, so I'm like drilling them out with the screw. Faster than going to get a drill bit to do a pilot hole. But as I get going with it, I become more efficient, and I realize I don't have to drill out both sides. I only have to drill out one side, because once it's secured, it does it by itself, actually building it. What you see me doing right now is trying to align it perfectly, but I realized one of the shims or the spring, it's probably my shim, one of them is crooked, so I had to compensate for that. This thing is still off by ½ an inch, but unless you actually put something up to it, you're never going to notice it. And that thing is bouncy. I'm very happy with this. I tried leaning back as far as I can. Its feet are wide enough it can't tip over. Take these earmuffs off. I don't hear any wood cracking like there's strain about to break. It's more springy than I thought. This is fun. Look at this. Doesn't go down much, but this is fun. I had a few hiccups building it, made a few little changes, but I'm happy with it. I decided not to paint it black because I was going to paint it black at first because I thought it was going to make like a pretty good, I thought it was going to look very industrial, so we were just going to go with that. No, I forgot. I wanted to paint it black, but they didn't have it. Still, once I sanded the edges and made it really smooth, there's no slivers or anything on it now. I kind of like it like this, but it's going to be a winter project now. When I'm bored and it's really cold inside the house, I'll put down newspaper and I'll use this stain and polyurethane in one, like I was originally gonna do, because it doesn't even look that commercial. It actually looks kind of nice, because this wood, I don't know what it is. It's got like a red tint to it, whatever tree this came from. Also, a few hiccups were these springs. Something about them is different. It might be the wedges I put in there. I cut the wedge in half, so they should have been the same. That might be it. Or one of the springs is slightly bent. Whatever it is, it made it not exactly perfect, the alignment. But by the time I discovered that, I would have had to take a lot apart. But visually, you don't notice it. You only notice it if you put this up here. Yeah, see? It's off by like a half an inch, but if I didn't point that out, nobody's going to notice that. I'm very happy with how that thing came out. Yeah, very happy with this thing. It's more bouncy than I thought. I'm happy with it. I like it. It's very strong the way I just put that together. Top, it's got 16 screws holding that. Now, these last pieces you saw right here were hopefully to catch all this right here. But then I realized I kind of messed up and this should have been as wide as the board. But these, someone could stick their hand under there and maybe feel them. I don't think that would be by accident, but I'm going to take a hammer. Oh, I still got the safety glasses on. I'm going to take a hammer and just break them off. And then when I'm sweeping the floor, they'll just get thrown out. These I think I'm going to save because these look like 832s for electrical work. And I got a place for those. Oh, it broke off. Whether they bend over or break off, it doesn't matter. You don't see it. I just realized I should have this up on wood so I don't scuff up the seat. Now I can be more rough. Alright, the short ones don't seem like they're gonna break off. Ah. I guess it doesn't. It just depends on the screw. And I got safety glasses on, so that's good. Ah, gone. Ah, gone. That one sparked too. Gone. Ah. Good enough, you don't see that part. Whoa. It's also not that heavy. I was doing this just as a joke or a concept, but this actually came out way better than I thought it would. I wonder if this ink will come off. I guess it doesn't matter. Because this side is better than the underside, but I would have chose the underside if I knew at the time I was going to not be black, because this barcode's there. I guess it doesn't matter. But now I got a lot of cleanup to do. Got to sweep up, throw this scrap back into the pile, the pieces I might use again. But you saw the thing would... Oh, I just forgot. I'm going to explain that during the time lapse. Well, now I got to clean this stuff up, sweep the floor. These little chunks, I have no idea what I could use those for, so I guess that'll be thrown in the... Yeah, it's going to go in the basement burn bin because the wood stove it's almost time for that. And I'm not going to do the wood stove until it gets down like real cold at night, well below freezing. I don't even think we officially had a frost. We had a bunch of close nights, but I don't think it happened yet, which is unusual this far north. We should have had one, I think, by now. Got a few chances of snow in the forecast. Doubt that'll stick. So yeah, I probably won't start the wood stove until the end of November. But I hope this video was interesting, everybody. Let's get it in the house. Interesting. Now that it's in here, maybe I should stain it dark, match the other bench. I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Hey everyone, it's the next night. It's had maybe 18 hours to dry. It's all dry to the touch, not even tacky anymore. You leave in the comments, everybody. What do you guys think? Does it look better with the carpet treads on there as a seat or without? In my opinion, I feel like having those on there, it makes it, this kind of material makes it look more like a piece of office furniture. That's only on there to basically cover up the writing, like I said, was meant to be. This thing of originally I was going to make the whole thing black, but I think it looks nice like this. It looks more rustic. Have a little sitting area here in front of the wood stove, which I will rearrange when this thing's actually running, because that's not a fireproof stove. I mean, not a fireproof rug. That's just there for the summer months. That'll be rolled up and put somewhere. Got to rearrange it a little bit. I put this shelf here last night. That was not being really used upstairs, and it made the upstairs look a lot bigger without it. It was crammed in a corner, so I put that thing down here. Got my fire extinguisher sign. Yeah, the fire extinguisher was there, but honestly, it should be by the door, because you walk in here and there's a fire. What if you can't get to the extinguisher? So I think it's better to have it next to the doorway, and we're always safe with fire extinguishers. We got another one right outside the door that we could go ahead and grab. I put fire extinguishers everywhere because I'm paranoid about the wood stove. You come over here into this room here. Go ahead, we got another one. Came back out into the hallway. We come over here, and there is yet another one right here. Every single room has a fire extinguisher, because out here in the country, if you can't control the fire yourself, the fire department's not going to get there in time. Look at this cool chicken lamp here. Come on, it's got to go in the other way, right? Yep. Yeah. Pushing out an egg lamp. I bought this blanket here, or wall art, online. It was less than $2. Look at that. It like throws your brain off looking at this thing, especially with it waving like that. It looks really weird. But here's a fire extinguisher that I bought on eBay for about 30 bucks. And this thing's old. It's from the 80s, but it's in perfect condition. It's been recertified by the fire department that sold it to me. This is a water extinguisher. The cool thing about these is you can put dish soap in there and it'll have suds as it's activated, or you can just put water in it. There's a fill line inside there. There's like a tube in the pipe. You fill it up until you can start seeing it. And then it's got a same valve as you have on your car tire, which is really cool. You can recharge it at home. It's great when you're burning outside, because you can reach a little fire that might start up in a tree or somewhere you can't reach if it's a little dry out. The only danger with these are, they talked to us about this in school. A lot of people don't realize these silver extinguishers are filled with water. They can only be used on wood fires. If you try to put out a cooking fire or a grease fire, oil fire, fuel fire, the water will likely hit it, splashing it, making it bigger. Or if you try to use it on electricity, on any electric fire, it's going to zap you through it, because it's water, not powder. I think this bench turned out really nice, and we only put about less than 3 hours into it. This idea came to me literally last night. I was looking at those springs out in the garage, and I actually stood on one of them, and it bounced a little bit, but this thing makes it bounce a whole lot more than I thought. Not bounce, but sway. It reminds me of those things at a playground I used to play on when I was little. It's probably the same type of spring. If there was only one of them, I probably would be able to bend it over like that. Yeah, if this right here, if we cut out like a couple inch section and made it into 2 seats, it would be less stable, but it would probably sway like that, like a playground toy, whatever you call those things. But it's very smooth because I sanded the edges or I filed the edges, and 2 coats of polyurethane stain. And this is just so it doesn't scratch the floor. It's got 8 of these right here. What do you guys think of that fire extinguisher? It says training only, but it was sold to me by a company that recertifies them. See, it's got brand new 2023 tags. And just look at that extinguisher. That thing is an old one, but it's in working shape. It's been tested and stuff. So how old is it? Some of these things are like very vintage. Sometimes you just got to look around on it for its oldest tag. 1977. I have a video of myself a while back. I had a yellow extinguisher from the 1960s. It had never been recharged. It was originally packed. Amazingly, the powder wasn't clumped together or anything. It's a dry powder, and actually every now and then you're supposed to flip them upside down and flip them back, especially if it's in your car. It settles with all the vibrations. Yeah, I had one from the 60s I bought at a yard sale because I thought it looked cool. It said fully charged, and it still worked and was reliable after all those years. Don't trust that. By code, I think this is supposed to be within 3 or 5 years. I've been having a lot of fun on this. This thing is really cool. If you're towards the side, it's got a lot more bounce to it. See that? See how it just... Whoa! Yeah, that's why I put a big base on it, so you can't easily tip it over. But I've been playing with it. Don't hear any cracking. None of the screws are straining. In the middle of it, got an even bounce, but really no bounce in the middle, it being distributed. On the side, you got more of a bounce, but anywhere, you got that good swaying motion. Not much to the sides, but a lot front and back. I am actually hearing some of the polyurethane like crinkling from doing this. That's actually touching the spring. But I think this project came out pretty nice. I'm happy with it. Boom. Yeah, these fire extinguishers here come from eBay. These things here I've used for years, and when you buy a recertified, refurbished one like this, just keep an eye on that gauge for a while after you get it, because this exact company here, they're very good. One time they shipped me a 4-pack of these, and one of them, within a week, went down into the red, and I contacted the seller on eBay, and immediately refunded me my money, and then a week later I said, oh, another one did it, and he said, send them both back to me, because he wanted to know what was going wrong with them. And I currently on the property have 8 of them from that same company. They've all been here for at least 6 months, and they're all doing well. The reason I get these retired commercial ones is because to get a new commercial one, you're going to pay like minimum $150 each. This is a 10-pound extinguisher. I have a 5-pound one up in the kitchen, so it's easier for someone to grab. 5 pounds what you'd want in your vehicle too, maybe even a 2.5 pound. They also have gigantic 20-pound and 30-pound ones, which are less common, but you got a lot more power if you're fighting a big fire. And yeah, those 20-pound, 30-pound ones, now you're looking at $300 to $500 for those massive, unusual ones. But you go online, and a lot of people don't want the 20-pound ones. Those are actually cheaper to an extent, but I buy the retired commercial ones because a lot of fire departments, you bring it to them every couple years, they'll test it, recharge it, recertify it. They're reusable. If I go ahead and use this on a fire, I can bring it to the fire department, have it refilled, repressurized, new tag, and we're ready to go. A lot of fire departments will actually do it for free or minimal cost. It's also cheaper to bring it to a fire refurbishing company, not the fire department. Because if you go to like Walmart and you buy the ones that are made by Kitty for a house, you use it and it's gone. You can never recharge those ones. These have reusable valves, reusable everything, and they're cheaper secondhand, and I just like having commercial-looking things around. If you saw, I had to put this pencil underneath here to make it not wobble, because this floor is not straight in here. It's the concrete. It's not the bench. Same over here. See this? The pencil was under there, and I just grabbed it for an example over there. This right here, I know some people, this would ruin their brain looking at this. Does anyone have that problem? Because right here we're looking at 5 different shades of wood. The one here that looks more like that stain color, it's not called it, but that's more like a maple stain, or that's more like a maple stain. Then you got redwood, you got the darker chestnut, and then you got very light, and then there's another one there in between. I know some people that just, their brain does not like that. Oh, and then the trim right there is a whole different one. Personally, to me, it does not look like it matches at all. It clashes, but my brain is not affected by that. Some people this would bother. Is anyone like that in the descriptions? In the comment section? But this color here came out really nice. It actually matches the clips, and because we weren't painting it, you can't even notice the brush went against this. It doesn't show up on anything we touched. Underneath, we did not stain it. You don't have to. I love this thing, and I hope this video is interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.